What's going on, everybody? We are now tuned in to the PA Power Hour, and I got a special guest with me. I got Dysen Gould. Dysen, what's going on tonight, brother?
Nothing much. Excited to talk some wrestling.
You know, we got to see some wrestling if you were on trackwrestling.com and you're able to watch some of the Olympic Club duels. Dysen, I know we talked about it over the weekend, but there were so many big name guys there that were just it was stacked. There were stacked brackets, there were stacked teams, and we were bound to have some head-to-head guys, going at it, and it didn't disappoint. That's for sure. What were some of the matches that you took away that you really liked?
Really, I think the main one I think everyone was really uh, thought was pretty crazy was Casak over Steve O'Poland, and then also Jackson Arrington and Jude Swisher both beating Nico Nardone. So I thought those three were maybe the ones that stuck out to me the most.
When I first was starting to look at some of the results and watching some of it, Tommy Dressler from Spring Grove, and I know I tweeted about this, and you and I had talked about this. He was absolutely phenomenal. I thought, he's a guy who is one of the top guys in District 3 out of Spring Grove, but he really set himself apart this weekend because he beat a state champ and two other state medals. He beat Trey Kibe from Mifflin County, who we know was a state fourth last year, state champion before that. He also beat Isaiah Reinhardt from Easton, who was a state medalist. I was very impressed with that win because Isaiah is a guy who we've seen for Easton for a number of years doing well for them. And also he beat Ethan Rickner from Bellefonte. If I'm a college coach and I'm looking at who won it for me, I'm looking at Tommy Dressler and saying, I want to get this guy's number. I want to call him up and see where he's looking to go to college.
Yeah, like you said, very outstanding performance by him this weekend, putting his name out there and proving himself that he can wrestle with those top name guys.
Going back to what you were talking about, Tyler Casak from Bethlehem Catholic, a sophomore. Last year he was fourth in the state in that crazy wild 106-pound bracket that we talked about a lot the last show because we announced Vinny Kilkiri versus Dalton Perry from Central Mountain. That was a bracket that we saw Mac Church in, Matt Repos. We also had, of course, Vinny Kilkiri, Jacob Van D. But Casak, he was so dominant, when he did get in the lineup. So he was injured to start the year last year, didn't wrestle at Ironman. Cale McKintry from Bethlehem Catholic was also in the lineup for them. He did a really good job for them last year as well. But then when Casak came into the lineup, he had a great state dual team tournament. I wouldn't say he fell apart at the state tournament, but he didn't have the state tournament that a lot of people were looking for. He had a win over Mac Church going into the state tournament. He beat him at the state dual team. So I don't know. Of course, Vinny had a great weekend that weekend, and Tyler didn't. But man, look at the upside for Casak having that huge win on under his belt in the summer right now. I think he's, I've been hearing some good things out of the M2 Training Center about Tyler, and clearly something that he's doing in the offseason is working out for him because that was a huge win for him, and he went undefeated this weekend. So, and he's wrestling up at 123 pounds, so he's not a 106-pounder anymore.
Yeah, like you said, that was someone, I think Dom said it in our group chat, big win for Casak, and then we were all starting to look, and then we were like, he beat Steve O'Poland, and we were all talking about that. I mean, it's a huge win, number 3 in the nation. I believe is Steve-O's a senior, correct?
Yeah, Steve-O's a senior. I forget where he's going.
NC State.
Yeah, that's right. NC State. I knew. He's kind of famous for his young video when he was a kid. I feel like so it's hard to believe that he's committed to college already.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who are competing in True Power, which we haven't released all of the matches quite yet. We're going to release 3 of them here tonight, so pretty psyched about that, Dysen. And we saw a lot of them competing here at the Olympic Club duels, which is funny because that tournament almost didn't happen. Did you read that article from State College, Dysen, where the the area was trying to get it shut down. The council, city council, or whoever it was trying to get the city commissioner. Somebody was trying to get it shut down. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was. I was thinking like I thought maybe if I'm like a couple months ago, I thought maybe it'd get shut down. Then I got in one a couple weeks, and I was like, it's gonna go on. Then the day before, there's articles out that it might get canceled. I was like, what the heck? And then it does end up going on. So it
Well, and
was
what's
good.
interesting is the backyard brawl, which
Yeah,
Frank Volcano is involved in. They had that the weekend before, and um, so I don't know if this was just because it was more national because we had a lot of guys coming in from out of Pennsylvania. We had a team from Illinois, California, all over the nation. But from all the pictures that I saw, it looked like everyone had a mask on. There was social distancing. All the refs had face shields on. So I think they did it well. I'm curious to see. I wasn't there physically, but from what I saw and watching matches and just seeing some social media stuff, it seemed like everything was pretty good. I would hate to see anyone who's trying to hold a tournament or a venue get punished for having that, but yeah, it was kind of crazy because we didn't think this was going to happen at one point. And look at all the guys that were able to go up there and compete. I mean, just the
yeah,
amount of studs here was out of control. And maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it really wasn't that good. We just really wanted to see some wrestling, and we saw some of these big name guys in action competing. Dyson.
yeah. And like you said, like the masks and all that, it seemed like from what I saw, it almost looked like in between matches, teams are outside, like kind of hanging out, and so it was almost like once they wrestled, they got out of there, and so they could social distance as much as possible. And so yeah, I think they were able to put it on safely, and glad it was able to happen, like you said, with all those top name guys. I mean, there was top, like we already mentioned, number three guys going down in the nation. Then there was top, probably there was a couple number ones. There was guys like Gabe Arnold, Steve O'Polen, Nico Nardone, Nick Buzakis. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of talent there. You look at the top 10, top 20 ranked guys in the nation, depending on which publication you're looking at. There was a bunch of them there. I want to go through some of the matches that stood out to me, Dyson, when I looked through it. Vinny Kilkeary, he wrestled for Keystone Outlaws Black. He beat Carson Wagner from Northampton. He actually pinned him. Carson Wagner is a returning state medalist. Kilkeary's a returning state champion. Colton Stone King from Waynesburg, he competed for Bull Trained. He beat Connor Pierce, who's a double A state medalist. Ryan Wyant from Forest Hills, wrestling for Keystone Outlaws Red, beat Nolan Lear, who's a state medalist. They were both state medalists last year. Cole Bartram from Quest Team Nauman, I believe he's going to be at Northern High School in District 3. He beat Eric Altdorfer from Faith Christian, who was a state qualifier. So a couple big wins for some guys across the state. A couple other matches I saw. Grant McKay from North Allegheny. He's wrestling for Quest and Team Nauman. They had a combined team there between Quest and Team Nauman guys. He beat AJ Corrado, a guy who we know is going to be at True Power. That was a big win for Grant. Grant's going to be a sophomore. Last year was a state qualifier, and Dyson, we had to give a shout out to Rob. Walco trained, right?
Yep.
What were some of the matches that stood out to you? Maybe in particular ones that you thought. I know you had mentioned Jackson Arrington over Nico Nardone. Nardone lost twice, right? He lost to Jude Swisher too. Jude beat
Yeah.
him 6-3. Jackson beat him 3-1, and yeah, that was a kind of crazy weight class because there was a lot of hammers there in that one. They were just kind of beating each other up a little bit, Dyson.
Yeah, and I liked um, I'm somewhat the junior high expert, so I'll point out some of the good junior high matches I saw. Um, First couple of true power competitors, Dalton Perry and Vinny Kilkeary. They were wrestling at the same weight. They didn't meet, but they both wrestled Vince Buzakis. Perry loses 5-2, and Kilkeary end up losing 8-6 in overtime. Another one was state champ Landon Bainey beating Davis Matika, another state champ from Wyoming Seminary, 3-0. And there was a couple others, but Ryan Garvik over Cool Casillo, another one. Ryan Garvik, real tough incoming freshman from Central Dauphin. And then
Yeah, you saw me fist pumping like this, Central Dolphin. Yeah, Ryan's a stud, man. I couldn't believe he was wrestling up at 163.
yeah, he was on my team earlier this summer, and him and Vaughn Spencer from Pine Ridge were going at it in individual down in Myrtle Beach earlier this year, and those two are two. Spencer's actually only going to be a eighth grader, so those two are two studs coming up through.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ryan compete at the high school level. I've got to see him in junior high, and that was a good win over Cole Casilio from M2, who was a state qualifier last year. A couple other wins that I saw, as you mentioned, Vince Bouzakis beat Dalton Perry, but another kind of junior high, you call yourself a junior high expert, Maddox Shaw from
Yeah,
Quest Team Nauman from Thomas Jefferson. He had a nice win over Troy Homan from Penn Trafford, who was a state qualifier last year. He beat him 3-1. Sammy Starr from Kiski, who was also at the Keystone Outlaws Gold, he beat Isaiah Reinhardt from Easton. So Reinhardt took a few losses. Sammy Starr actually pinned him in 27 seconds. Sammy Starr he's funky. And then Max Stout wrestled him. Max Stout from Mount Lebanon, who's also going to be in True Power. He beat Sammy Starr 6-4. So a little bit tighter matched up. And I look at Trey Kibe and what Trey Kibe was. He had a tough weekend, but he did grind out a few wins. He beat Cole Reese from Wyoming Seminary, who we know is one of the top guys in the nation. He did beat Isaiah Reinhardt from Easton as well. So a lot of just back and forth. Nick Bouzakis dominated. Man, he beat Jackson Arrington, I think, like 9-3, something like that. Dysen, do you
yeah,
remember that score?
and he
It was
also, I think he beat Jackson 9-3, and I think he beat Jude 9-4.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about trying to get maybe Nick into it, and he's going to wrestle Ryan Corcoran at Who's Number One, which is going to be an absolute battle. I love watching those guys go at it at
Yeah.
the Ironman last year. So overall, some really good wrestling. Some of the undefeated guys that I saw from Pennsylvania, or at least they're living in Pennsylvania. And the first one is a guy who I didn't know was actually living in Pennsylvania, Nico DeSalvo from M2. He actually is from Louisiana, and I believe he moved up here to be coached by David Taylor. How old is he Dysen? Because he's a stud, but how is he?
I'll
A
get that
seventh
for you one
grader,
sec.
eighth grader?
Uh,
And
he's
Dyson
a
calls himself
seventh
a junior
grader.
high expert here.
Seventh grader.
Seventh grader. Yeah, he went undefeated at 75 pounds. He went 8-0. Freddie Bachman from Faith Christian Academy. Not sure where exactly he's going to end up in high school. He went 8-0. We know the Bachman brothers from out east. He went 8-0. Both those guys, Nico and Freddie, went 8-0. What were some other names in the lower weights, Dyson, that went undefeated?
We got Keanu Dillard of Redhawk, went 8-0, who I assume he'll likely end up at Bethlehem Catholic for his high school career. And then also Melvin Miller, wrestling for Keystone Outlaws Gold, went 7-0, one of the RPW guys. And then, like you mentioned, Joe Bachman, Freddie's brother, wrestling for Faith Christian, went 8-0. Bo Bassett of Keystone Outlaws Black went 8-0. And Nathan Desmond of Redhawk Elite went 8-0.
Yeah, those are two guys that we're going to see go head to head
Yeah.
at and I you know them a lot better than I do, but man, Bo was just, I mean, he dominated, right? It was he dominated, but so did Nathan. Nathan really they wrestled at different weights. Nathan was at 103, Bo's at 97. I don't know how much of a factor that's going to be when they do meet on October 17th, but I just can't wait for this match. I know you like Bo Bassett a lot. I like those Redhawk kids, man. Those Redhawk kids, they scrap.
They're tough on top,
They
too.
are tough. They're CSOLI trained, man. They're Easton trained. Some of those guys are just really become hammers going up into junior high and high school. So I'm looking forward to seeing Nathan and Bo locking heads. Maddox Shaw from Thomas Jefferson competed for Quest Team Nauman. He went 7-0. Very impressed with him as a freshman. Tyler Casak, as you mentioned, from M2, he went 8-0. Jacob Van D from Bad Karma from Cathedral Prep, he went 7-0. Interestingly, both these guys were at 123. Both of them wrestled 106 last year, so a really good showing for those guys. Another True Power guy who is going to be competing in True Power, Levi Haynes, Biglerville. We talked a lot about him here in a little last week when we talked about the True Power matches. Two-time state runner-up. He had a phenomenal showing, 8-0 for M2 at 141 pounds. Alex Amita was in that bracket. He actually beat Alex Amita. Finn Solomon lost to him, and I believe Alex Amita beat Cole Hammett too.
Yeah.
So Levi, you look at where Levi's at. I'm super psyched to see him and Finn Solomon going at it.
Yeah, that like I wasn't on that last week with you guys, but you and Eric talked about it a lot, and uh, Eric said he was really excited for it, and I'm really excited for it too because that's a match that we haven't seen yet, and obviously Finn, like you guys said, coming back, not making the state tournament last year, so I want some revenge, and these M2 guys have been competing really well this off season, so excited to see those two go at it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like M2 and David Taylor, obviously what he's been able to do up in the State College area, but I just feel like they've really been broadcasting some big names and big results recently. Just having the amount of talent that they do, you're seeing more and more kids from even outside the State College area competing for M2, training with M2. So I know what they're doing is working, and I love it. I love seeing just the different kids bumping heads and going at it, and Young Guns, Ranger Pride, all those kids from Quest, Team Nauman, just kind of throw them in a bag, shake them up, see what happens. And I can't wait to see Levi Haynes and Finn Solomon. I think it's going to be a really intense match. Another undefeated guy was Evan Gleeson from Becca. He's also competing for Redhawk. He went undefeated 6-0. Your boy Eric Gibson from Keystone Outlaws Black, which explain that to me, Dysen. How did Oklahoma and sort of like Young Guns compound kids, how did they merge into one and have like some super team? How did that happen?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it, but I think what kind of happened was, so like they were, Guerrero was holding those camps out in the Oklahoma RTC earlier this summer, and a lot of the Young Guns kids were going out there, like Rocco Welsh and Mac Church and all them guys, and so I think that's kind of what happened. They just end up uh, getting in contact with them, then putting a little super team together.
Well, I mean, they did pretty well for themselves this weekend. They did lose in the finals to Buxton. Buxton Wrestling was out of control. You had Blair and Sem guys and a few others from either one of those schools, but you had a lot of just you look at the nationally ranked guys that they had. I don't know if there was a non-nationally ranked guy from 113 up. I don't know if there was anybody who was not nationally ranked. So they fell short. So super team or not, they did fall short. But they had a lot of tough kids, a lot of names I didn't recognize from Oklahoma. That's I'll have to ask Willie Saylor about some of these guys because I'm not up to Oklahoma's level in terms of following those guys, but definitely impressed with the way they wrestled. Eric Gibson, as I said, went undefeated. Tommy Dressler from Quest Team Nauman, 8-0. Man, he's a winner. He really won this weekend, in my opinion. I think he really shot up the rankings and recruiting for sure. He's always been there. He was banged up a little bit last year in the postseason, but I can remember him when he was in junior high coming into high school. Very, very solid competitor. Max Stout from Quest Team Nauman from Mount Lebanon. He went undefeated 6-0, 185, 198. A guy we're going to see at True Power going against Jack Waymeyer. Brandon Roskoski from Kiski, representing Keystone Outlaws Gould, went 7-0. And Colby Franklin, you said he lost his last match. I had him as undefeated. You said he lost his last match. Is that right?
Yeah, I saw John Foster tweet about it. I think he said it was actually the last match of the tournament going on. He lost.
He was up at heavyweight 288, right? Because he wrestled
Yep.
198 and 288, I believe. John Foster loves his heavyweights, and boy, is he going to love one of the matches that we are going to be releasing tonight. I mean, if anyone's sitting near John, be careful because he's going to flail and yell. I mean, it's just going to be great because this is going to be it's a huge match that we're going to be talking about here at True Power. But overall, Dyson, what'd you think? Olympic Club duels, had a lot of good wrestling. Um, was there anyone who was kind of jumped in weight that you were surprised, or what were any surprises that you had after seeing some of these results, or was there anything that stuck out to you?
You know, maybe jumping in weight. I think those 106 pounders, all three of them, Casak, Church, and Van D, all up at 123. So they shot up quite a bit, and I just a lot of good wrestling this weekend. I hope uh, they're able to do Olympic Club duels next year too, and I hope it's the same competition, not just because of the layoff. I hope all these teams come back and a bunch of hammers go at it again.
Yeah, I agree with you. It seems like a great event. Seems like everything was very well organized. I saw Rudis was there. Looked like a great time, and it's just great to have people get back on the mats and competing. No word yet on Super 32. I think they're still waiting to figure out what is exactly going on with their restrictions. I know they're in like stage 2.5. So, what I liked about the Olympic Club duels, Dyson, was getting to see some of these top incoming freshmen, because you and I have been working on
Yeah.
our top incoming freshman report, which is massive. But as I was talking to Eric last week about it, it's so hard to figure out who's in what grade because of COVID, right? Because
Hmm.
even without COVID, it's hard to figure out because you have guys that are sometimes being, held back or repeating a year. Um, I can't tell you how many guys I've had listed as freshmen. They're actually in eighth grade, or freshmen that were actually going to be seventh graders or something. So it's hard to figure it out. But I think this was a good look at some of the freshmen that we're going to have coming up. You mentioned Ryan Garvik, Maddox Shaw, some other big names that Landon Baney. Trying to figure out where they all are. In fact, Dalton Perry I had listed as a ninth grader on the fight card for True Power. He's actually
Yeah.
going to be in eighth grade. So, yeah. But again, it's tough. It's hard to tell. I need parents to tell me like, hey, Johnny's going to be in this grade this year.
Yeah, we should have that. Email us. Tell us what grade they're in. We need that.
Dyson, you're in ninth grade, right?
I am.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't want to mark you as the wrong grade here. I want to make sure I have you in the right grade. And you haven't been joining us because you've been playing football.
Oh, I have.
What's that
I have
about?
been.
Putting up the pads. You're too. You were complaining about your weight like a year ago, and now all of a sudden you think you're big because your voice dropped. You're all of a sudden you're gonna play football. What's up with that?
We had our first game Friday. I stood on the sideline the whole game with a mask on and
Okay.
a helmet in my hand.
Okay. Sounds
I
like
felt like I
sounds
did a
like a
good
great
job.
time. I mean, I don't know why I would want to do that. Anyways, I mean, are you having fun at least?
Yeah, it's all right. Couple times I get my bell rung at practice, getting hit by some older kids, but it's all right.
It only makes you stronger. Forget that.
Yeah.
Forget those concussion things. That science, that mumbo jumbo. Listen, put some dirt on it. You'll be back. You'll be fine. Okay. It's never hurt nobody. Drink water out of the spigot. The garden hose. You'll be fine. Dyson, what else do we have coming up here? I know you and I talked about Central Mountain added girls wrestling, which is huge. That's program number 5 out of Pennsylvania for sanctioning girls. That was a big move. I love seeing that, and Biff Allizer and the Central Mountain wrestling community is a strong one. So, I really hope that this starts a snowball effect. We saw it out east a little bit. North Allegheny brings it up. I think we need to have some more schools starting to really push for it. I know there's some on the burner, but hey, what about the Punxsutawney Chucks? What are you guys gonna do? Can we get some girls wrestling up there, Dyson? Can you
It'd be
advocate for that?
nice. We got what?
I said, can you advocate for that?
I'll try. We have. There was a girl on my junior high team last year, and she was a state champ.
Wow.
She's pretty good.
Okay. Some other things that we had scrolling on our headlines: AJ Corrado commits to Brown. That was a big commit for him. He joins actually Harrison Trahan from McDonough School, who's a Pennsylvania native. Drew Cleary joins the Nazareth Pipeline to Princeton. Is really running well. That Sean Pearson up there. both Stefanik brothers, Nathan and Travis, and of course now Drew Cleary, who, by the way, was probably one of the, we talked about jumps in weight. His sophomore year, he's 132 pounds, jumps up to wrestled as high as 195 last year, wrestled at 182 in the state tournament. Think about that. I mean, that's a huge jump in weights, but he did really well for himself.
Yeah.
Brandon Kleitsos from Notre Dame Green Pond, he's going to Rutgers. He's only a sophomore, or I'm sorry, junior this year, but he is already verbal to Rutgers. Yeah, I mean those were some of the big headlines that we had, Dysen, coming into the weekend, and obviously with the Olympic Club duels going on, we got to see a lot of good action. So let's talk a little bit about True Power, should we?
Let's do it.
All right, so we released 10 matches thus far, right? 10 matches. We did 7 last week, 3 the week before. So we got 3 more for you tonight here, and we had to bring Dysen in on a Sunday because he's so busy at practice, football practice, during the week that he's tied up. He can't end up joining us on the show. I don't want to be with Eric the whole week, so we got to roll into some of our other matches that we're going to talk about here. First one up, Dysen. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I think so, at least. I think.
Carter Deibert
I'm ready.
versus Cole Bisco. We got a state champion versus a state runner-up. This one is going to be a good one, and I like this for a couple of reasons. Carter Deibert, neither one of these guys had the state tournament that they wanted last year. So this is the word of the day is redemption for these two. Cole Bisco was a state runner-up as a freshman, right? He lost to Jackson Arrington in the state finals at 113 pounds. The next year, as sophomore year, he does not place at the state tournament. Carter Deibert, he's a state champion, and then he comes back to the state tournament and he finishes third. He lost to Dante Frenzy from Becca, and Mark Billett took the most epic photo ever. Dysen, it's your
my favorite photo ever.
Favorite photo ever. It's Dante Frenzy just like freaking out. It's a great photo. So that was the match that he beat Carter Deibert. Carter comes back to take third, but he had one lapse. He had a not a good match against Dante Frenzy. He didn't look good. Dante looked really good, but he does bounce back to take third. So neither one of these guys had a state tournament that they really wanted. I'm sure Cole Bisco wanted to come away with the championships, as did Carter Deibert. So this one's going to be interesting because it's at 126 pounds. Carter really doesn't have to cut a whole lot. Cole's going to have to cut a little bit to get down, but this is going to be a matchup of different styles. Cole is kind of more of a, I look at those District 4 guys in Southern Columbia. They like the Gage Garcias and his brother Gavin. Those guys are just hard nosed. They're really strong. They're physical. Whereas Carter, a little bit more finesse, right? There's a little bit more technique. Maybe he likes to work on top, just like Spencer Lee did, and all the Franklin Regional guys really do. So this one's interesting because I think that we're going to have a clash of styles. Dysen, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this one a little bit of a East versus West matchup. Like you said, clash of styles. Carter kind of more of a he'll grind you a little bit of hard hand fighter, but like you said, he's more tough on top and more slick moves, and he'll go that route. And then Bisco, he's a real tough hand fighter, grinder, and he'll just grind you the whole match, kind of like we mentioned Bo Bassett when we were talking about the Nathan Desmond match. And I'm just really excited to see these two, and I'm sure they're both hungry for some competition.
Yeah, and
I don't think either of these two have wrestled this off season.
Yeah, Carter's committed to Arizona State down there with Zeke Jones, Matt Leby, former Zeke Jones product, and head coach at Franklin Regional. I mean, if I'm looking at it, Carter doesn't really have to prove a whole lot. He's already committed to Arizona State, but again, redemption. He did not come. I don't want to say he was a clear favorite, but he was a favorite at 113 pounds last year, and just he fell apart a little bit in that match against Frenzy. Bounced back to take third. Solid performance. However, Cole Bisco, same thing. state runner-up the year before, and you look at the fight card. Cole Bisco's strong. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
some guns on him, right? And I think this is going to be a battle of strength. And I think if if Cole can stop Carter from turning him and keep it more on his feet, I think he has a better shot. And Carter, if he can withstand sort of the strength of Cole, because he's coming down a little bit in weight. I'm excited about this one. This one is a little bit different than the others, and I like it because it's not a typical matchup, and I think this one's gonna be a lot of fun, Dyson.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too.
All right, so before we go into our next matchup, we're gonna check in with the Tactical Mind, and again, you can go to the Tactical Mind LLC.com, and if you use the promo code POWER, you can get 50% off your first consultation. So we'll be right back in 30 seconds.
This is the Tactical Mind, and I work with athletes in the field of sports psychology as a cognitive performance coach. Within 5 minutes of talking to a parent, they make the connection right away that this would be great for my kid to have when they're in college, when they're just going through the ups and downs of high school. Who wouldn't benefit from having more self-awareness? Who wouldn't benefit from having the ability to self-regulate our emotions and our counterproductive thoughts? Who wouldn't benefit from having more optimism, not just on the field, but in life?
Again, that's the tacticalmindllc.com to check out my good friend Nick Fuller to get you geared up for the season and get your mind in the right frame, because we know you can practice and you can drill and you can lift all you want, but Dyson, wrestling's is a sport of inches, right? And sometimes it's the inches between your head. So you got to make sure you get your mind right. Right, Dyson?
Yep. Gotta have the good mindset.
You better turn that hat around and get your head straight, Dyson. You kids, and your hat backwards. I don't know
It's an Iowa hat.
No kidding. I'm shocked that you have an Iowa hat on, Dyson. All right, so we talked about Cole, Bisco, and Carter Deibert, a phenomenal matchup. That's going to be matchup number 11 that we talked about. Let's go on to our next match, and this one is also a pretty big one in my opinion. This is also one that we saw one of the competitors competing over the weekend. Are you ready for this one, Dyson?
I'm ready.
All right. I feel like I'm just dropping presents at you on Christmas. I'm just throwing them at you. You ready?
Ready.
Panero Johnson, Cathedral Prep versus Jared Kessler from Connellsville. I like this one because, man, these guys are good. And both of them have been at the Surge. So Kessler, coming into his freshman year, he was on the radar. He was certainly on the radar, but he just exploded onto the scene when he came into the Surge as a freshman and knocked out a couple state medalists to win the championship. He was very impressive. The year after at the Surge, he was a runner-up. Last year, Panero Johnson was a runner-up at the Surge as well. He lost to Matt Lackman in the finals. Jared Kessler lost to Kenny Kaiser. So both these guys, we know what they're capable of. Kessler was fourth in the state last year. Panero Johnson is a three-time state medalist, was eighth as a freshman, fifth and then third. So you look at Panero's trajectory, and he took a couple losses this weekend. He lost twice, I believe, over the weekend, but he's just really, he's a Fargo All-American. He's committed to Iowa State. The kid's just, he can compete, man, and he just makes it look easy out there. Jared Kessler, on the other hand, I was very impressed with him at the state tournament last year. I think he finished about where I expected, but he's knocking on the door this year, I think. And these two are going to be going at it at 152 pounds. Dyson, right off the bat, what do you think when you see this matchup between Kessler and Johnson?
I think it's going to be a really fun one to watch because they're both just going to get after it, try to score points, and both real strong, kind of more of a stockier, short, or maybe not short, but stockier, strong built, and just going to brawl and hand fight. And, like you said, Pinero, maybe he's more proven on the national level, ranked top 10 nationally. And then Jared, this would be big win for him to prove himself nationally with a win over a guy like Pinheiro. So I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah, I mean Pinheiro, he's got some national recognition because of his Fargo performance, but also some big wins that he had in the off season last year. But Kessler, I think he's kind of underrated on the national scene, and
Yeah.
I don't know, call me crazy, but I think he's a guy who is really going to potentially end up on the top of the podium before it's all said and done. I don't know. I really like his upside and I like his competitiveness. I'll never forget his performance at the Surge. Just the way he just went in there and wrestled, man. He had literal, just anxiety or nervousness. He just looked like he was just going out there and having fun. So, I don't know. I just think he continues to get better and better. And here's the other thing: the guys he has to compete with on a weekly basis in the Whippeal. I mean, Ty Linsenbigler, all those guys in that weight class area. He's just always been grinding, always been wrestling hard. So I'm really excited. It was a no-brainer to me to try to get these guys to compete. I don't know. I'm really excited about this match. I say that about everyone, so I sound like a broken record. I get that, but I'm very excited because I think this is going to be like a 9-8 match. I don't know. I can see like a 9-8 or 7-6 match. Dysen, do you kind of feel like that?
Yeah, like you said, like these two, but just both great kids. Just love the sport. Just want to go out there and have fun and put on a show and score a ton of points. So that sounds like a good mixture of things to me, and sounds like a fun match to watch.
Yeah, and both are really good on their feet. Pinheiro,
Yeah.
he's a really good freestyle wrestler. I love watching him in freestyle. I think he's better at freestyle than he is folk style. His mat, yeah, I mean he's decent on the mat, but he's really good on his feet. That's what got him to a state medal his freshman year, because he wasn't riding guys out. He was just taking them down. Kessler's kind of same thing. I mean, he can go feet to back pretty easily. He kind of goes for big moves sometimes. He's like a typical Connellsville, just not like an Ashton Primus, but kind of just a brawler in that sense. And I'm super excited to see these guys going at it. 152 pounds, Dysen. Man, I wish we could put on like 30 matches. I wish we could put on.
Especially with that Olympic Club duels today. It was like I'm like,
I know,
well, that'd be a good matchup. Jeez.
It got me psyched up. I'm like, man, what about this matchup? What about that matchup? I'd love to see. I want to get Tyler Casak on the card, man. We get. I don't know, man. It's tough because there's only so much you can do and so little time. But I'm excited for True Power, and I'm excited to highlight some of these guys. And it's just a taste of what Pennsylvania has to offer here in the Keystone State. But we still have another match to talk about, Dysen. And this one's a big one.
Goodie.
This one's a big one.
This
not
is a
not
goodie.
in the physical sense, not just in the physical sense, but in the actual sense of the word. This is a big one. This one John Foster is going to go nuts for. Are you ready for this one, Dysen?
I am ready.
All right. So we got, drumroll please, Nate Schoen from Sealands Grove versus Nick Feldman. And what I love about this is their fight card. Look at Nate Schoen's got the long hair, just the chest out. Nick Feldman looks like he's going to compete for World's Strongest Man here in a second. He's got traps like Goldberg. These two are studs. Now look at this. These two are going to be wrestling at 230 pounds. Nate Schoen's moving up to heavyweight. One of the top recruits in the nation, Nick Feldman, already a junior. Hard to believe he's already a junior. National prep champion. Schoen, 3-time state medalist, was 8th as a freshman. Remember, that was the year he pinned Hunter Kaka in 50 seconds. And he went on to take 8th. He was a state champ his sophomore year. Last year, he finished 2nd, losing to Dorian Crosby from Cathedral Prep. Those two were battling each other in back-to-back weeks at the Northwest Regional and then the state finals in Hershey. Two just absolute monsters, Dysen. What are your thoughts on this? Because they may want to eat you for a snack before the match, Dysen. What do you think?
Yeah, these two, like you said, both. I mean, this one, we've said, we've we both said we've been excited for every match, but this one here is just off the charts. I mean, uh, Schoen, Feldman, those two both nationally uh, ranked guys. Oh, geez, I just saw that Feldman picture. Wow.
you just now saw it. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
He looks scary, man. He looks.
yeah.
I mean, we think about the
I'm
weight
not out.
because
I'm not interviewing him. You're gonna have to take that one.
you interviewed him at the Surge last year, and I
Yeah,
mean,
but he wasn't that big.
he was. Yeah, you're right. He wasn't that big. I can remember when he was a freshman, and I was like,
Ooh.
Burn, he's pretty big. His dad's really big though too. Um, yeah, Feldman's a beast, dude. 230 pounds. You know, I look at that and I'm like, do I give the advantage to Schoen because he's a little bit bigger and he's used to wrestling up at that weight, because ever since he was a freshman, he's been a 220 pounder. Um, but Feldman, I just he's a freak. He looks like he was made in a lab.
It's unbelievable.
You know, so this is John Foster right now is just he's going crazy because this is like a big man's dream matchup because both these guys, these aren't your dad's heavyweights. These aren't dancing bears, man. These guys are physical, they're athletic, they're wrestlers. They can compete. And Schoen, I don't know if you've seen Schoen wrestle a whole lot, Dyson, but he loves to go upper body. He loves to throw people, toss people. You know, Gage Garcia and Nick Feldman last year was a great match at the Escape the Rock tournament. Shout out Joe Youngblood. It was a great match. However, this is a different type of animal with Schoen. Schoen is he's so savvy he just seems like naturally fit to go upper body. He just seems it's like it's no big deal to him. This one could end in a pin. I don't know who, but this one could end in a pin, or Feldman could just I don't know. What do you think about this matchup, Dyson?
Yeah, I don't like you said. I don't even know who's favored in this one. It's like just Schoen loves the upper body. Feldman just so strong. Schoen strong too. Unbelievable. I mean, this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. This may be one of the more exciting bouts. Not that I'm playing favorites here, but you know I felt so. Here's why I like it a lot. Feldman can't say no. He loves to compete. He competes at everything. I feel like he was at the Surge last year, was a champion there. He beat Jake Lucas. He's you know a national prep champion. Last year, he competed for Malvern Prep. Where look at some of the things where they competed at: Beast of the East, Ironman, Powerade. He lost to Luke Stout in the finals of Powerade. He was a Surge champion. Schoen, on the other hand, you know, being it from Sealands Grove, not a team that's going to go to nationally ranked tournaments, but he won a state title as a sophomore, not at 113 pounds, at 220 pounds. So, I mean, that just shows you what he's capable of. You know, he's a Division I recruit for a reason. You know, a lot of these colleges want him on their program because he's a versatile competitor who I think, you know, Spencer Myers from Sealands Grove, who wrestled at Maryland and played football there. He was an All-American. He's kind of in that same. I know those two get compared a lot, but you know, Schoen if he gets a little bit bigger and really you know puts on some even more muscle, if he grew a couple inches too, that would help a lot. He's just going to be a great college heavyweight. This one's going to be fun for many reasons, but this I don't know, Dyson. I don't even know how to predict this match. I don't even know how to.
Yeah.
There's no real film to look at to say this is what the matchup's going to look like because I don't think either one of them has. You know, Schoen's wrestled Kaka, and look how strong Kaka is. So Feldman is so fundamentally sound and solid. He does all the little things right. He's very strong. He doesn't cut any corners. So, and Feldman's competing in who's number one as well. So he's not only competing in a national, you know, duel here. He's competing the week later at True Power. So, like I said, the kid he competes. He never says no. So, really looking forward to this matchup, Dyson.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Fireworks, lots
So,
of points on the board.
lots of points on the board here. I think these three matches that we were released are three unique matches. I think they each offer us something a little bit different. I think you know a couple of them may be more technical, A couple more gritty. This one just a clash of titans almost between Feldman and Schoen. I'm super excited and what's what the best part is, Dyson?
What?
We still got more matches to talk about.
We do.
We still got we got some pretty good ones. We got some pretty
we
good
do.
ones coming up, man. I can't hold my tongue much longer for some of these because there's some that I'm just like, please be a good match, because you look at, I can't tell you how many state finals matches I sat through where you're like, oh, this is so boring. There's nothing going on here. There's no action. Now there's been some in the last 5 years that have just been incredible. I really hope that these matches at True Power, I hope they let it all fly. I hope they just go out there and just kind of go crazy, try different things. Look, this doesn't mean a whole lot. This is just to have fun, compete in a pretty cool atmosphere. We're gonna have a pretty cool setup, Dyson, for coming out. We got their walkout songs coming together. There might be a little smoke action coming together. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this, Dyson. And you're going to be my main man. You're going to be my sous chef trying to make sure everything gets done. So I hope you're ready for it. You might get a phone thrown at you. You might. I was pretty good to you at the Surge last year, right?
Yeah, but I was a rookie then.
You were a rookie then. I would say the state tournaments when your true colors shined, right? The state tournament.
Yeah.
4 days.
My computer wasn't working.
How bad did I want to just shut that computer in your face and throw it?
Oh, I was ready to throw it too.
Yeah, I know you were. I know. We had a good time though, man. We had a good time. And of course, this Saturday, we got a big event coming up in State College. The Nittany Lion Wrestling Club is putting on a really nice event. Dyson, have you been able to look at the matchups for that? And were there anything that stuck out in you? I mean, I know for me personally, I'm just excited to see some Pennsylvania natives getting back on the mat. Darian Cruz, Vincenzo Joseph, Jason Nolf, Zane Rutherford, Jordan Wood. I mean, I'm just excited to see some of these guys back on the mat and competing. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this too. And like on Twitter, you always see about RTC duels, who's the best RTC and all that. And this one's it was kind of centered around Cliff Keen versus Penn State, but then there's also some other guys in there like Lehigh and Dan Valamont from Penn. So I think one of the matches that really stick out to me is Thomas Gilman, Darian Cruz. I'm really excited to see that one, and obviously the main event, Daringer and Nickel. Those two off the top of my head just really stick out, and just excited to see some wrestling.
Yeah, especially at that level too, right? I mean, you get to see world champions, you get to see some high level, seriously high level guys. Kyle Snyder, Bo Nickel, and Daringer is probably the highlight. It's probably the showcase match, just because they each between them have 6 national titles. And but I like the Gilman Cruz one just because there's a lot of history there. Those guys have competed against each other a lot, including the NCAA tournament semifinals, which was probably one of the best matches. I feel like you were 8 years old then. Do you remember?
I remember it.
Did you watch
though.
that match? The
Very
Thomas
sad.
Gilman. Do you remember that one?
I remember it.
Darian Cruz pulled a move that no one can really explain what it was.
Yeah.
He's just a crazy good wrestler, and to think that next year that bracket, that 125-pound bracket, was just insane. This is going to be a good match to see if Gilman is ready to take command of the 57 kilos, because we saw Dayton Fix was suspended, but his suspension actually started a couple months ago or several months ago, so it's not going to really affect him for Olympic trials. I saw Spencer tweeted or put something out there with a singlet that he had with Leo on the back and Hawkeye Wrestling Club on the front. Does that mean he's gearing up for senior nat? What do you think? What do you think that's about, Dyson?
I think it's a go.
You think it's a go?
I heard all Hawkeye Wrestling Club guys are going, but that doesn't include Spencer because he's still in college. But I heard that all Hawkeye Wrestling Club guys are going.
Yeah, Tony Hager,
Like,
I saw do an interview with Dan Dennis, and I saw he had mentioned that most of the Hawkeye Club members were going to go, but that doesn't necessarily mean Spencer.
Lugo is going to take the title.
Luke, what you think so? What?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now you got to take Iowa glasses off, bro. I mean, that's.
I got to
he
get
beat
my.
Pletcher. I'll give you that. He beat Pletcher. Pletcher's going. Nino Bonacorsi's going. I know that
Yes.
for sure because they were like the first two to sign up for it.
Those Pitt guys are going, and they're gonna. Lugo's winning it though.
Okay, Dyson. Well,
I don't even need to see the bracket. Lugo's
you
winning.
don't. Please, I need some help here from fans. You don't even need to see the bracket to say Lugo's taking
No.
it. Come on, Dyson.
Lugo.
You
Give me Lugo.
okay? I'll give you Lugo. I'll give you. I don't even know who's going to be there, but I can almost guarantee you, Lugo will do well. Don't get me wrong. I was very impressed with him against Pletcher on the that rooftop event, which was pretty cool. I feel like that was 2 years ago, and I feel like that was probably only a couple
seems a
months
while
ago,
ago.
right? That's how COVID is killing us slowly. Lugo's going to do fine, but let's calm down. Let's pump the brakes.
Michael Kemmer likes to call him considers him a PA native for his couple years spent at Edinburgh. So
Yeah, Michael Kemmer. I love ChemDog, and I've known Michael for a long time. But you can't claim Pat Lugo. I mean, I just because he went to Edinburgh, I can't claim him. You know, that's like saying Bo Nichols not from Texas. He's from Pennsylvania. So
no.
I don't see the difference other than Lugo was only here for a couple years and Nickel was here for a lot more. We've had some wrestlers compete in Bellator. Ed Ruth got tapped out. Man, did you see that, Dyson? I don't know
Nah,
if you're allowed
I
to
didn't
watch
see it. I didn't know
combative
he's
sports.
fighting.
Too young for you still. Ed Ruth, one of my hometown guys. He's from the Harrisburg area. Wrestled at Susquehanna Township. He got tapped out in his fight against, I forget who it was. Phil Davis won, also a Harrisburg guy. He collected a win. I feel like he's been around forever. Penn State guys, two Penn State guys. So that was probably before your time. Phil Davis was, Dyson.
Yeah, I don't know him.
And I know you don't like Penn State, so you probably don't really keep much tabs on how their alumni are doing. What are you going to do at True Power when David Taylor's there and you have like an Iowa hat on or something? David Taylor may hurt you, Dyson. I may let it happen. I may just
I
don't know.
We've spoke virtually, but we haven't met or talked in person at least. So I was on the one HMA podcast with him when they were doing the all decade teams, and he was on the one. I was on it with him, and we got into a couple. He was asking me how I was an Iowa fan from Penn State, living like an hour from State College, but I told him it was Caleb Young, and he said, "Well, I get you can be a Caleb Young fan, but you don't have to be a diehard Iowa fan."
And DT, I'd have to agree with you. You can be a Caleb Young fan, but you don't have to be a bleed black and gold Iowa. But hey, to each his own. Well, how was Iowa football doing, Dyson?
Well, Iowa State isn't doing too well either.
I agree. Iowa State's not doing so well. West Virginia had a strong win this weekend.
Well, that's good to hear.
I mean they
And Pitt football's playing their high school football teams or whatever.
Well, West Virginia didn't. I mean they didn't have that tough of an opponent. So Eastern Kentucky, but it is what it is. I'm just glad football's happening.
I heard Big Ten football might get approved to come back today.
Yeah, because they're sitting back on the sidelines and they're like saying, "What the heck's going on here? All these other schools are making money. Why can't we?" Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes, but I'm very curious to see how the PIAA continues to develop with football and fall sports in general. I think no news is good news. The more news we see about postponements and stuff like that, it hurts us a little bit for wrestling. That is. Oh, I forgot to mention. This is big news. Ironman is canceled for this year.
Oh yeah.
That's. I mean, you're talking about the clearly #1 tournament in the nation that's down. So that's huge. So that's Beast of the East and Ironman. I can tell you this: Powerade's not going to go down that easily. Powerade's not going to. They're going to fight till we get to somewhere where they have the tournament, I think. But those are two huge tournaments. Ironman is, I mean, you got Super 32, Ironman, Fargo. Talk about winning titles at either one of them. Those are pretty huge tournaments to win at, and We know aren't going to have one of them. I don't know what's going to happen with Super 32. Here's my guess is that Super 32 goes on, but not in North Carolina. I don't know. Just a thought.
Well, that's what they said this afternoon. They said that they're not allowed to do it in North Carolina, but they're looking for alternate locations.
Yeah, just go to Idaho or Minnesota or one of the
or Iowa.
Or Iowa. Yeah, true. Night of Conflicts happening. My boy Tony Hager. Shout out to the Hager Happy Hour.
That's a great show.
We're definitely. I'm whether Tony knows this or not. We are going to do a collaboration between IA Wrestle and PA Power Wrestling and have a match maybe next year or something.
Now that would be amazing.
Between Iowa's best and PA's best. I think that's a must. And I think we should make it like a yearly thing and switch locations. Like one year here, one.
It's almost like Young Guns does with their travel camp. They go out to Iowa. I
think that'd be pretty cool, especially because we have a good relationship with Tony and his crew. So that'd be a lot of fun. But look, we're getting to the end of the power hour here, Dysen. I can smell my food, and my dinner's almost ready here. And you probably have homework.
Food does.
Do you have?
I do have. I have some math homework.
Okay.
After I eat, though, gotta get some food in me.
Gotta fuel the machine, Dysen. So 3 matches from True Power were just announced. Eric and I are going to be doing some more announcements this week. Not sure exactly what day yet. Got to check the work schedule to figure out what works, and we got to figure out if Eric's going to get internet. He's got his acoustic, he's got his USA Wrestling mat, he's got his pit singlet, he's got basically everything except for internet to do his what does he call it? The pit. The pit.
The PA Power Pit.
The PA Power Pit. I don't. That's too many P's. I don't know.
It's the room looks pretty good, but you can't really do anything without internet.
It's better than my unfinished basement with Kurt Angle and I just hanging out in the basement. I think Eric, if he can get internet, I think we're gonna do a show probably Thursday, and then we're probably gonna do a show Saturday to talk about the Nittany Ryan Wrestling Club event that they have going on. So just hope internet gets out there into the middle of the woods for Eric, Dysen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good week at school and football practice. Don't get yourself hurt, okay? Wear your helmet. Be safe.
I got a JV game tomorrow night. I'll actually get to play in that a little bit.
Okay. Got to start somewhere, Dysen, okay?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you joining. Stay tuned to PAPowerWrestling.com. Visit us on Rockfin, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for all that stuff. We got a whole lot coming at you, and we're going to have a lot this week as well. So, Dysen, it was a great time. Glad you could join me on this tonight.
Yep, great time.
All right. See you later, Dysen.